So joining me now for more on this is CNN political and national security analyst David Sanger. He's a White House and national security correspondent for the New York Times, of course, and CNN military analyst, retired Lieutenant General Mark Hertling. Gentlemen, it's great to see you. Thanks for being here on a day that really is historic, that what we're going to be seeing playing out in Washington. But David, first on what Natasha was just reporting, and I know you've been hearing about this as well. What are you hearing about this aggressor state designation?
Well, one of the problems with naming them as state sponsor of terror, though they would certainly seem to fit the bill given the attacks on the infrastructure, is that it then triggers a whole series of additional sanctions, some of which may wrap up American allies, may make it more difficult to have some flexibility in how you deal with financial transfers. And so the administration was trying to avoid that, but still get Congress a way to sort of vent their views on Russia. And this is the wording. It would carry with it a sense of the Congress, but really would not trigger any specific kinds of action. And, you know, it's a little bit like issues that have come up before with a range of other countries. And so it's not an unfamiliar problem.
Yeah, but General, when it comes to actionable support from the United States, which is, of course, what Ukraine is looking for. Do you see this designation as significant at all, or just window dressing?
No, I do. I see it very significant, Kate. And the reason is, as David just said, the state sponsor of terrorism moniker requires certain things within the State Department, the Commerce Department, the Treasury Department. When you have this other designation of an aggressor state, you have more leeway to do different things. You know, and I just listened to your report that some congressional members are saying it doesn't hold, President Biden isn't holding Russia accountable. That is a ludicrous statement because of the previous things this administration has done against the Russian state. But this gives the president and his administration much more flexibility in what they can and can't do. And I think he's going to convince President Zelensky that this is the best approach to take.
And David, it is also just, I think it's an understatement how I'm going to put it, but it is what it is. It's a big deal that Zelensky is coming to the United States for this meeting and his remarks, leaving his country for the first time since the Russian invasion began. What is today's White House meeting and address to Congress? What do you think it's going to mean?
Well, the first and most important symbolic element of this, Kate, is that Zelensky was not supposed to be alive right now under the Russian plan, right? They plan to sweep in and decapitate the government, literally or figuratively, within a few days or weeks. So the very fact that he's showing up in the Oval Office and then addressing a joint session of Congress is really meant as a message to sort of drive home the humiliation of the Russian military for their inability to take over Ukraine. Second, it's supposed to be a thanks. I think President Biden has at times believed that Zelensky was not sufficiently grateful for what he's getting. Thirdly, it's supposed to whip up some support for continued aid. But then I think the most important thing is to sort of turn the corner, Kate, and get people accustomed to the fact this could be a very, very long war. And that means moving to a position of supporting Ukraine for years, not just for months.
Yeah, at a moment when there's going to be a fundamental shift when it comes to the purse strings, who controls the purse strings in Washington. And that can be part of it as well, that he's going to be speaking with not just two Democratic majorities in Congress. He's going to be speaking to a Republican majority when talking about long-term support for Ukraine. In general, this week is presented.
Can I add to what David said? Because I think
of course.
I think it's important what David said. You know, this is not only from the standpoint of an embarrassment of the Russian military, but President Zelensky was just on the battlefront yesterday in Bakhmut, giving awards to soldiers. He's flown to Washington. He's going to be greeted by a very rabid audience that's supporting him. At the same time, President Putin and his defense minister, Shoigu, were in Belarus yesterday begging for support from one of the few allies they have left. Shoigu was even limping and had an injured hand when he went there. So it kind of shows that the stark contrast between the Russian state imploding versus Zelensky and the Ukrainian state receiving more support.
It's not often that I get to say that I'm having a mind meld with a great mind like you, General, but that's exactly what I was going to be asking you about, is the split screen of Putin going over to meet to Belarus at the very same time. And I love when you steal my thunder. You can steal it any time. But let me ask you then, David. The president is announcing today that he's sending over they're going to be sending over the Patriot missile system to Ukraine. Given how sophisticated that system is, I thought it was really interesting when I heard you say this morning that this is a pretty expensive way to be defending their energy infrastructure. So is your reporting that you see this, that they are seeing this less as about what Ukraine is defending against right now and more about what they think or fear could be coming?
Exactly, Kate. I mean, they have had to go deal with incoming missile attacks, of course, and then these Iranian-supplied drones. What they're worried about is that you could see Russia begin to use more strategic weapons. You could see them use Iranian cruise missiles. We haven't seen that yet. Iranian precision missiles as well. And so I think this is going to be largely about the defense of Kyiv, the capital. And it's not going to end up making a big difference, I think, to those various parts of the country where you've seen the drone attacks. It's also been very hard to come up with a Patriot battery. There aren't very many of them. So I suspect you're going to see announcements from other countries that are announcing Patriot-like systems that they're going to deploy at the same time. The U.S. has not wanted to go do this alone.
In general, the administration has been hesitant. I've heard from some military analysts that they're saying, why has this not happened a long time ago, that they send over the Patriot missile system? What do you think? What do you think of this move, this announcement now? What kind of response do you think it will provoke from Russia?
Well, I keep doing this, Kate, and will say that there better be some expectation management in the insertion of Patriot missiles. It will take a long time to get these employed, the Ukrainian soldiers and repairmen and suppliers trained on them. And I'm not talking weeks, I'm talking months. And as David said, this is a point defense system, and this is one battery. That's a company level organization that has between 6 and 8 launchers, one massive control system, and a massive radar system that just takes a lot of time to understand and use. Yeah, I know Ukraine has proven themselves to be great on the battlefield, but they can't just fall in on this piece of equipment. And this piece of equipment can't move around. It is a stationary point defense capability. I think, I'll add again to what David said, I think this is a push and a wedge to have Secretary Austin go back to the Ramstein group in the future and say, hey, we just provided a one of a kind. There are no other weapons like this in the world. We have provided this one of a kind system to Ukraine. Some of you other folks better start ponying up a lot more low and medium range system. One last thing I'll say, Kate, in terms of expectation management. Patriot is a defensive weapon system. You don't win wars on the defense. What I would be looking at is not so much Patriot as what's coming next with this big package, the capability of putting together combined arms teams to conduct offensive operations by Ukraine in the southeast and the east, and potentially stopping any kind of aggression that might come from Belarus in the north. That's what I'm looking for, and that's what the big money in this next package is going to pay for.
So interesting, really interesting. It's great to have you guys here on this day. I really appreciate it. Thank you.